Good day, everyone. I'm Matt Harrison, and you are listening to GiriCast, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Giris out there. After a blue Monday for Malaga at Mirandés, we head back to home comforts this weekend at La Rosaleda. In 2025 so far, we have been visited by Deportivo, and we have another one of the grand names of the Spanish Segunda coming to town this week in the form of Real Zaragoza. Malaga and Zaragoza find themselves stuck in the middle of the league at the moment, with Malaga sitting in 11th place and Zaragoza sitting in 12th place. Both teams will be looking to pull away into the top half this coming weekend. And speaking of being stuck in the middle, I've got clowns to the left of me. I've got jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle of my GiriCast co-hosts this week. So first of all, I'll introduce our Malaga man, Chris Marquez. Chris Marquez, are you more clown or joker? What do you identify more as?
I see myself as a very serious person.
Okay.
I don't really like jokes. I thought a moment that when you were saying like another Segunda coming to town, I thought you were talking about the Spanish Segunda podcast, the Spanish Segunda Show, who are party crashing in Malaga this weekend and in the rest of the south of Spain, I believe.
Yeah. Well,
you were talking about Zaragoza.
We will indeed, yes. We will hear more about the Spanish Segunda fan party coming to town, and to tell us all about that and hopefully to give us some insight into his beloved Zaragoza is, of course, one half of the Spanish Segunda Show, the great podcast that's featured on this podcast many times. It's Liam Bambridge. How are you, Liam?
Apprehensive as always about this time of the week. Vaguely optimistic, but a little more. That's interesting. You describe us as being in similar situations in the table. I suspect the Malaga fans are much happier with their mid-table status than Real Zaragoza fans, who are perennially unhappy with being anything other than in the top six.
Would you say they're the clowns to the left of me?
I think, to be perfectly honest, I think some of them are clowns. I mean, it's like ultimately it's disappointing to be in Segunda. It's even more disappointing to be in Primera F. And it makes me laugh really sometimes, Matt, because when we look at it, always talk about, we're a great club. We should be in La Liga. We've been a great club. We've won the European Cup Winners' Cup. That was 30 years ago. But we are historically a La Liga team. But by the way, Malaga were in the Champions League much more recently than we won the Cup Winners' Cup. And I don't see too many Malaga fans whinging and moaning about their current status. So, I think perhaps a little bit of perspective is required. And we were talking about this Alex Mali the other day, and his opinion is that until the moan is shut up, at least to a certain extent, we're never going to get anywhere. And I'm inclined to agree. There's a bit of a toxic atmosphere around Zaragoza. More recently, it's been there for a while, to be fair, and it doesn't seem to get any better.
Nice positive start there from Liam, which I'm looking forward to his insight to come.
But can I say, because I think, and I might be one of the few people to say this, I liked Primera RFF much better than Segunda. I had way more fun in Primera RFF than I have in Segunda.
Chris, you're talking to a host of the Spanish Segunda podcast.
Yes, and Segunda doesn't mean Spanish second best. I see it as third best.
So you'd rather go back to your Primera RF days, would you?
Yes, for sure. The only problem is that you have to relegate, and I don't like to relegate, but I love Primera RFF.
I enjoyed it too, but I've got to be honest with you, since we've got promoted this time, the games we've had this year, considering we've had so many draws, I've really, compared to last time, it probably helps the Malaga are better, but the quality's been great. The games at La Rosaleda, they've all been really entertaining, even the draws. But that's perhaps a conversation for another time. We don't have much news, Chris, coming out of Malaga this week, but I'll start with you because you've rushed across back to your home in Benalmádena from Fuengirola. Do you want to say where you've been tonight and who you've been hanging out with?
Let me tell you this. All I do for everything we do for this podcast is immense. Because I finished working today, I rushed to Fuengirola to go to the Finnish Peña and celebrate the club visiting the Peña. So I spent my afternoon with Rocco Baturina, very nice guy. And we talked, and I had asked him some questions, and the video of that will be on later.
I can say as well, Rocco Batarina's Spanish is probably the most clear Spanish I've ever understood. I know it was like
crazy. His Spanish is better than mine.
Yeah, it was. But he spoke at a nice pace for me and nice and clearly. I want Rocco Batarina as my Spanish teacher. Apart from Liam Bambridge, of course, who I'm sure is awesome.
Very diplomatic now. Thank you very much.
Kind of, Chris attacked you straight away, so I'm trying to, or attacked your beloved Segunda. So I'm trying to even things out. Yeah, the only other bit of news really is the fixtures have been done for the next match day. Malaga will be playing Levante Saturday, the 8th of February, 6:30 p.m. That's becoming my favorite kickoff time, 6:30 on a Saturday. It's nice time in the city, not home too late. Sunset in La Rosaleda, perfect. I was going to say, Chris, as well, we could do a bit of transfer talk, but there is literally nothing at the moment unless we want to go over old ground, of talking about it. Is Antonito?
I can say that Feyenoord beat Bayern München yesterday with 3-0.
Yes, that is
so. I wanted to mention it because it's crazy what they did last night.
Well done to Feyenoord,
who
have obviously prepared for that down in the Costa del Sol as well. They've been hanging out in Marbella. I saw some of the team not so long ago, actually, when I was running. They were having ice cream, which was nice. Anyway.
I have to say, I actually went to Detroit for the first time a couple of weekends ago and watched them get beaten by Utrecht. And I could never, ever have predicted what happened this week for Feyenoord. Yeah. I mean, they played some lovely football, but they were the epitome of toothless in front of goal. And so to score 3 goals against Bayern München was certainly not on the cards.
It's the story of the season, to be honest, because they drew against Manchester City, which is also, I think, a big astonishment for a Dutch team. And in the competition, it doesn't seem to work. But for me, it is the most beautiful stadium on this planet, probably.
Okay, apart from La Rosaleda.
Yes.
Let's get on to that Zaragoza game then, and of course, before we get to that, Liam, you seemed a bit downbeat about Zaragoza. So the good news for you is you have plenty of football to enjoy before you have to endure Zaragoza, because you guys, and by you guys I mean you and Alex of the Spanish Segunda Show, and some of your listeners and people that contribute, you are coming to the Costa del Sol and Andalusia for the weekend. I got to be honest with you, like, if you're a real ground hopper and you just want to fit in as many games as possible, it has fallen absolutely perfect for you guys.
It certainly has. I think that the only one for me, I'm a great one for rushing from place to place, and sometimes to my detriment. Maybe sometimes you just need to enjoy places rather than disappearing off to the next destination, don't you? So on Sunday afternoon, there is the potential to go to Granada against Sporting de Gijón first of all, before then hot-footing it to La Rosaleda. But you know what, Matt? I thought to myself, I've read all about your pre-match routine. I thought, you know what, I might take in a bit of Torre del Mar until about 1:15, drop off the hire car, and then give Matt Harrison a quick text and see where he is on his little circuit pre-match, and enjoy 2 or 3 hours in his company rather than dashing off to Granada Sporting and then getting back in the bare minimum to come and watch the Zaragoza game.
When I saw it, Liam, when I saw the whole idea, perfectly wonderful, but those two matches, Granada and Malaga, are so close to each other, and finding a parking place near La Rosaleda is nearly impossible. It really is. So I think it would be a very difficult one.
These are ground hoppers, some of these, Chris. They'll find a way. They'll always find a way.
Exactly. My belief is generally I will find a way, and I always do find a way. But I'm trying to temper that a little bit and enjoy the sights of Malaga for a few hours. I haven't actually been to Malaga for any great period of time. In fact, the last time I went to La Rosaleda was in 2011, would you believe? So over 14 years ago, the same month, January. I remember seeing people swimming in the sea and thinking, what on earth's going on there? But they seemed quite comfortable with it, and it wasn't that cold, really, to be honest, about 20 degrees. I don't think we've got such good weather forecast this weekend. But I thought spend a few more hours in the company of the always good company, Matt Harrison, and he's not going to say he's not doing it. He's not going to say he's got less.
I was going to say it's been christened, that sort of pre-match ritual. The lads have started calling it El Camino de Arison.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
well, as long as El Camino de Arizona is going on this weekend, I'll certainly join you at some point during it.
So just quickly remind me, because I haven't got it here. The plan is for the main gang Antequera Friday.
Well, obviously for those who don't have to work Monday to Friday, Matt, I mean, you will sympathise with that when all these dossers you can take a Friday off. They're all going to Antequera, which I'm gutted about because I'd love to go there. I know you enjoyed your time there, didn't you? But yeah, it's a Friday night typical, so I can't make that. I'm not getting there till midnight on Friday after a long, hard day teaching, obviously. And then, we're going to Cordoba on the Saturday afternoon, which is great because it's not the earliest kickoff. I think it's 4:15 in the afternoon, so great, plenty of time to get there from Malaga on the Saturday morning, and then staying overnight in Cordoba and then heading back either to watch Torre del Mar of Tercera Ref fame, or alternatively a bit more leisurely and then head for the sort of area around La Rosaleda for the Sunday afternoon.
What a trip. Like, if you've never been to Andalusia, you're picking off some big boys there and some beautiful boys as well.
You're starting at one of my, I think my top 3 or 5 stadiums ever, which is El Nuevo Maulí. And then you go to one of the ugliest stadiums I've ever gone.
Here we go again, Marcus. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with it. I can call apart from the fact it's unfinished. Get inside, it's great. From the outside, it's not a thing of beauty. I would totally agree. But you know what? The atmosphere inside is tremendous, and they're playing Rafa, so it's going to be an absolutely banging game. I would suggest.
Totally. But I'm going to ask you Sunday, with the pre-match, which of both you like more? Because Nuevo Maulí is very impressive and very beautiful.
Okay,
from the outside as well.
Let's get on to the Zaragoza stuff, since that's what we brought Liam here for. But it turns out, Liam, your Spanish Segunda, I was going to say sidekick, let's say partner in crime. I don't want to decide who's in charge there. But Alex Fitzpatrick has decided he can't be trusted by yourself to give us a preview. So he has still sent us a preview. So I'll play what he has to say about Zaragoza, and you can bounce off that like you do so well on the Spanish Segunda Show. So here's Alex Fitzpatrick with his little spiel on Real Zaragoza.
Sunday, Malaga take on Real Zaragoza, and the Spanish Segunda Show will be there. Liam and I and a group of our listeners will be at the game. We're looking forward to it very, very much. Liam particularly, as he, of course, is a Real Zaragoza fan. And they're a bit of a troubled club at the moment, Real Zaragoza. They are 9 points off the relegation, 9 points off the playoffs, not knowing whether to look up or down. And their coach, Victor Fernandez, he resigned before Christmas, and Miguel Angel Ramirez, who last season was with Sporting Gijón, he took over, and it's not been a good start for his reign. The first home game that they had, which was his second game in charge, they were 2-0 down against Tenerife, and the fans in La Romareda were calling for his head. That's in his very first home game in charge. One of the things that they're unhappy about is the 3-4-3 formation, or the way that they see it, and what they're unhappy about is that they see it as him playing 5 at the back, 3 central defenders and 2 wing backs. And for that reason, they feel it's unambitious, and they feel like their club should be attacking a little bit more than that. Of course, you can play an attacking 3-4-3, but the fans don't see it that way, and we're calling for his head. So they're in disarray at the moment. One of their better players returned from injury. Bazdar last week came off the bench, was instrumental in getting them back to 2-2, got booked, and is now suspended for this weekend's fixture. So Real Zaragoza, very much a club in turmoil at the moment, and in that respect, you have to say probably a good time to play them. That's Sunday, Malaga taking on Real Zaragoza.
Thank you, Alex Fitzpatrick. And we should start there, Liam, because obviously you are a resident these days of the lovely city of Manchester. Fans being unhappy with a 3-4-3, you must be hearing all about that all the time, living in Manchester and being a Zaragoza fan.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, they're completely different clubs, but there is something about the sense of entitlement, I think, that you get from United fans, as well as what you get from from Real Zaragoza fans. Sometimes I think it's time for a bit of a reality check. They have been now in Segunda for over a decade. And of course, they would like to be in La Liga, and they feel they should be. And I think we're still something like historically the 8th best team in terms of results in La Liga. So it's still potentially should be up there, but you've got to earn that right, haven't you? And ultimately, the more unhappy, the more divided it appears to be in terms of the relationship between the fans and the people in charge, and the more pressure the players feel under to perform. And I think it has become very much like that around Zaragoza. And I'm not saying that United have exactly the same problems. As I say, obviously they're a much more storied club than around Zaragoza, but I think it's similar. I think some of the players are not that bothered, but I think some of them probably feel a huge weight of expectation, regardless of the formation. And I think both club supporters, I can see why United probably, as you say, the history suggests they shouldn't be struggling as much as they are. To a lesser extent, Real Zaragoza fans, I think, need to take, a bit of a step back and think, right, are we really going to inspire these players to get us what we want by continually moaning at them? And as Alex mentioned in that preview, how on earth can you be asking for the coach to go in his first home game? I mean, we were playing Tenerife, who are obviously rock bottom, or were rock bottom at that stage, and we were losing 2-0. But really, honestly, in his second game in charge, it seems a little bit ridiculous.
Do you think that playing defensively, or the strategy to play defensively, maybe comes with the intention of bringing back the confidence to the players of Zaragoza?
I think probably partly so. I think the thing is, you've got a new manager here, Miguel Ángel Jiménez, and it's well documented, really, that he didn't necessarily make a big impact at Sporting de Gijón when he took over there. He took time to establish his ideas. I presume you would think also that maybe he'd want to bring in some of his own players. New coaches usually do. Whether they feel that already it being 9 points off the playoff, it's not worth spending the money at this stage of the season, but I think he'd want to have some additions in this winter transfer market. It depends how serious they are, whether they feel like this season's already gone. I think a lot of Zaragoza fans are just thinking 50 points, right off another season, start again in August, But it could be to do with getting confident. But I think the thing is that realistically, over the last few years, we haven't been terrible defensively. The problem has been going forward. And to a certain extent, he's a bit hamstrung at the moment because, as Alex mentioned, Baftar has now just come back from quite a lengthy injury and is now suspended, which is in itself kind of sums up a lot about what's going on at the club, in the sense that, you've seen a lot of players taking a fifth booking for dissent when they're not even playing, serve their suspension when they're not even fit to play, and nobody thought to do that with Bath. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's what teams do, like the goalkeeper going down injured halfway through the first half so they can have a little tea talk. So he's got no Baftar, has had no Baftar, we'll lose him again this week. He's got Athon up front who wants to leave, and he's gone for a free this summer. They've turned down an offer from Como for him for over €1 million because they've got no one else. So, and Soberon, who's come in and done initially very well from Aldensia, has now been injured for several months. So I think it's not even that. It's almost like, well, we need to be quite strong defensively because we haven't really got much going forward. But that is going to frustrate Real Zaragoza fans, because that has been the Achilles heel for several seasons now. Then the lack of goal scoring opportunities being created, lack of creativity from midfield. It is not going to go down well, but that doesn't mean that you should be calling for the coach's head in his second game and his first home game in charge, did you really?
Yeah, I should. Obviously, last time you were on the podcast, I asked you about the sort of feelings around the return of Luis Fernandez, who you think you guys expected to go at the end of last season and stayed on. And we talked about his sort of legendary status and what's this, third or fourth time he'd come back. What was the sort of thoughts when he left? And also, I think our listeners would appreciate a little bit of the story of your interim manager between these two managers, because he had an eventful little spell as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Vito Fernandez, club legend, and fair play to him. As you said, I think he should have, stepped aside in the summer. He didn't. He carried on. They had a great start, and then he just hit the wall. He couldn't get anything. I think I think the game when he eventually said he'd had enough was after the Real Oviedo game when they were winning 2-0 and lost 3-2. And I think he just said, "I've tried everything. It's not working. I'm going to step aside." And I think that was probably the right decision. And he, I think, to a certain extent, retains his hero status in Zaragoza for making that decision. Maybe it would have turned ugly if he'd stayed much longer. But David Ibarra, the stand-in, I think he was only actually in charge for one game. And he's a former player. I don't think he played for Zaragoza, but he is a former player. And he was on the touchline for a game against Racing Club de Ferrol. And the opposing coach, Cristobal Paralo, who's now no longer the Racing Club de Ferrol coach, but was at that stage quite a well-respected figure in the game, quite a mild-mannered character. And It all got a bit heated towards the end of that game. And Ferrero turned to Cristobal and basically said to him the equivalent, you're getting sacked in the morning, your team are rubbish. Now, we've heard fans chant that, haven't we, in England many times. I'm sure you've heard it down in I was going to say the Vetch Field for a minute, but no, the Liberty Stadium and other places in England. And it's quite normal, isn't it? And you hear players say it to each other all the time. It's the kind of, I think it's classed as banter. But in Spain, you don't say that to the opposing coach, do you? It's considered very disrespectful. And Cristobal, who I'd say is a very mild-mannered character, basically headbutted that Ferrero. and they were both duly, essentially escorted from the premises. But interestingly, when the bans came out, Cristobal got the same ban as David Ferrero, which kind of backs up the sort of suggestion that, basically the Spanish authorities thought that what David Ferrero did, which was actually just like sling a few snide comments Cristobal's way, was as bad as Cristobal headbutting him. So, entertaining. Needless to say, Ferrero didn't last long after that. He was shown the door. I think Miguel Angel Ramirez probably was shown the door anyway, but I think Zaragoza felt that they couldn't really condone that sort of behaviour on the touchline, even though actually all he'd done was just diss his opposing number a little bit.
Yeah, I've not got anything as good as last time, but I thought I gave you a bit of Luis Fernandez trivia last time. Do you want a bit of Miguel Angel Ramirez trivia?
I won't be able to answer it, and I love trivia. So it's always like it's like watching QI, isn't it? It's like you don't know what's coming, but you always enjoy not knowing it.
I'd be very impressed if you get it. Can you name the only trophy he's ever won?
Did you do this last time with Victor Fernandez?
It was, but he was the last ever manager to win what was called the Intercontinental Cup, I think, before they changed the name. It's not as good a bit of trivia as that.
Did he win the American Mexican Challenge Shield or something in his home country?
Bigger. I'd be impressed if you pull it out though and name the club, because I did notice he had quite a storied managerial career all over the place.
He was in the Middle East, wasn't he? Mm.
Yeah, he won what I guess is the equivalent of the Europa League in South America. He won the Copa Sudamericana in 2019 with Ecuadorian side Independiente del Valle, who went on to win it again 2 years later, I noticed. So maybe he set them up for, second tier continental glory. So maybe that's what Zaragoza, and of course Zaragoza are a famed club for winning second tier continental trophies. So it's written in the stars, maybe.
If only the European Cup was still around. Can we not revive it, please? And at the same time, push Zaragoza into the top division so they can win it again.
Sorry.
Impressive.
Yeah, it is quite impressive. With the first time they'd ever won a continental trophy, and don't know, 2 years later. Going back to Europe and Zaragoza, is there any players we should be keeping an eye out for this coming match day? And then I might ask you about a couple of Malaga players, and I know you're a little bit pushed for time, so when we get to the Malaga section, I'll ask you. You're free to ditch us then.
I'm just a bit surprised you don't want to talk about the first game, Matt. But I mean, why would you want to? It would give you a good opportunity to again rant and rail against the match official on that evening.
I messaged you, Liam. I messaged you after the match.
Yeah, but Matt hasn't yet. Matt's obviously had the chance to rant and rail about it, but not directly to a Zaragoza fan. And he's got a very sympathetic Zaragoza fan here, because basically I thought it was an absolutely appalling decision. It probably worked against Zaragoza because ultimately, I think Malaga, as they've shown so many times this season, basically just rolled up their sleeves and went, you know what, that was a terrible decision, but ultimately we're not going to let it affect us. We're going to absolutely dig in. And I thought they were excellent for the rest of the game and really, deserved, a good result from that game. And
for those that aren't aware, we are talking about the Kevin sending off. For those who are thinking, what was that about? It was that sort of 50. Well, it was a 50-50 really, wasn't it? And for some reason, Kevin was the guilty party. But yeah, I can't do anything about it.
Well, no, Zaragoza, as you say, that they're very short up front. Ivan Athon is really their only option, and as we say, he should be on his way. Really, I'm surprised. It shows how badly off they are in terms of strikers. That I think it was 1.2 million euros they saved from Como, and he's going to go for free in the summer. I'm pretty sure he's not going to stay. I did notice the other day when he scored, I think he was about to kiss his badge, and he didn't kiss his badge. I was thinking, everyone knows you're off, mate. Don't be kissing your badge at this stage. You need to kiss it a few years ago. But yeah, no, he's not a bad player, but I think he's probably been less good since he knew he was off, basically. Obviously keeping himself in a little bit in reserve for wherever he's off to next. And probably he's not very happy to miss out on going to Serie A, but he doesn't get to choose at this stage. I think. I mean, there's some good players, isn't there? Don't get me wrong, Tony Moya can be excellent on his day. Akechi hasn't really hit the heights that we were hoping for. He was brilliant last year at Eibar. Hasn't really done it for us. Marcos Luna is a young lad on the right-hand side. He's not especially brilliant, but, he's a homegrown. Everyone loves homegrowns, and he's just signed a new contract. I think he's got a lot of promise. I think he'll get better and better. But, yeah, there's no real standout players, I don't think, in that starting 11 that you're going to face on Sunday. And I suspect that Ramirez will probably go there and looking for a point, which seems a little bit negative, but ultimately it's early days of his tenure, and it's a tough place to go, that Rosaleda, so I don't think he'll be overly attacking, unfortunately.
Yeah, we guess we should ask as well, as we're a Malaga podcast. We've got to first of all ask about former GiriCast guest, Ivan Calero. I remember him playing in the previous game at La Romareda. How's he getting on? And our other favourite sort of battling midfielder, Kaide Bare, who I noticed I was going to say, first time I saw it, I thought he missed an open goal on the weekend, but he sort of flopped with the ball just past the post, didn't he? But how are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, Calero, I really like Calero, but he's played in a few different positions. He has probably contributed the miss of the season so far. The Zaragoza share, and we've missed a few. But yeah, I think he's a good player, Calero. I like him. He's been moved about a little bit. He's had to play, left back, which wouldn't be really his preferred position. Sometimes he's played a bit further forward, sort of on the right hand side of his field. I really like him. I think he's a good player. He's probably, like most Zaragoza players, they've had a good first quarter of the season and a less good second quarter, if I'm honest. And Kaide Bare, I still don't think he's fully fit. I mean, he's had some injury issues, and I feel like they're throwing him out there at the moment at about 75%. And he's a very good player, but realistically, we know how tough Segunda is. I think you need to be right on it, and maybe, especially in that central midfield area, it's particularly unforgiving, isn't it? So, yeah, I think they're both good players. I think I'm glad to have them at the club, but I don't think right now, as in on Sunday, I don't think either of them are at the peak of their form, shall I say.
Okay, I'll ask Liam one more question in a second. It'll be a bit more perhaps Malaga centered, but Chris, you always well, obviously it's not usually Liam, it's usually Alex that sends us the match previews, and you're always very critical, Chris, saying they're trying to scare us. They keep telling us this team's really good, and Liam's done the exact opposite tonight.
Now I'm afraid. This is the one where I get afraid. No, not that they try to scare us, but Malaga has this really strange thing going on that when we play stronger teams or teams which are above us or play very good football, we always tend to play better and win.
Apart from Menendez.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Apart from Menendez.
Yeah.
It's going to get Chris.
They were maybe a bit too strong. No, I don't know. We were unlucky, I guess, in some way.
Yeah, I think you were unlucky. Listen, Panicelli is one of the best strikers in the division, and that's why he is one of the best strikers in the division, not just because he scores goals, but, when the game is pretty much a draw, isn't it? He comes up, not an amazing play, but, gets in the right area, is strong, has a perfect ball in. You can't miss that, can you? And there are very few strikers for me who have that ability in the division this season, and he's one of them, and they're so fortunate to have him. And I suspect they would have him next season, as is the way with Menendez. They get these great loanees in, and I wish I knew how they managed to uncover a striker after striker, because we've been looking for one of those for several years now. But yeah, I thought you were unfortunate. I thought you played well. Again, great heart, to go behind and then to fight back. And I'm a big fan of La Rubia, as you know. And again, I thought he was class when he came on. I wasn't quite sure why he didn't start, to be honest. But yeah, you probably know better than I do about that. But yeah, they weren't lucky. And yeah. You're right. I think they go there with not exactly nothing to lose, but they know they're playing against a side that's right up there, and Zaragoza are sort of stuck in mid-table where they are. But yeah, I would still expect Malaga to have enough to win this week, as long as they score first. If they score first, I think that's probably game over. But
I don't know. If I'm being honest, it seems like the players, when we play against stronger teams, better teams, or higher ranked teams, that gives an extra motivation. But when we play against a direct rival on the table,
we draw.
Maybe we think too easy about them. I don't know. With all respect towards Zaragoza, because I don't think Zaragoza is an easy match for Malaga. But I think it's different or something. Maybe they're not as motivated as other weeks.
Yeah,
I should add, I don't know if you caught this in a recent show, but Alex has said that he will run naked around La Rosaleda on the occasion of the playoff final first leg if you make the playoffs. So you might like to spare the Malaga fans that, or you might like secretly to hope very much that happens just so he could talk his way out of that particular scenario, because I'm not quite sure they'd allow him to do it anyway, but it'd be quite amusing to...
I'm not sure yet, but I...
Yeah. Chris Marquez is thinking, how can he trump that now?
No, not at all. I said if Malaga would get promoted last season, I would get a tattoo. I still need to get it, but it will come there with the Giricas logo. And I said I would walk to Malaga. And in August, with 43 degrees, walking to Malaga Center in the middle of the day is not the best thing. So I'm keeping myself quiet for the rest of the season.
He walks across the whole of northern Spain in 43 degrees. You've really got to walk to Malaga. What's your problem, Chris?
Yeah.
Just before we let you go then, Liam, obviously you just you touched upon there that you're a little bit of a fan of David Larrubia. And by the way, you're a bit unlucky. The reason he didn't start in Mirandes is because he's coming back from an injury, but sounds like he's back fighting fit, ready for your boys. But obviously, because you do the Spanish Segunda Show, you see all the league and you've got a more unbiased view of our club than us. So last time you were on the podcast, I asked you, what do you think of Malaga? And you were sort of surprised, but sort of positive, but sort of skeptical at the same time. So where are you with Malaga now? What do you see unfolding in our season?
Yeah, I mean, I've said all along, I think nearly every single Malaga fan that you would speak to anywhere would say 50 points. And that's not the Borja Jimenez 50 points from last season, which we all know was a con. We all know that he had higher aspirations than that. Yeah. I think that realistically, that is the target. Of course, it's the target, but they're not a million miles away from where they need to be. You just think if they could keep in that sort of area within sort of 4 to 6 points of sixth place, you just never know, do you? You really don't. They do draw too many games, but ultimately, we know how even this division is. If you're in with a shout, with 4 weeks to go, 5 weeks to go, you can win the last 5. It's by no means impossible. And it would be an absolutely extraordinary, remarkable achievement if they made the playoffs in my eyes. But I just hope that that's always seen as a massive bonus rather than the sort of expectation. And I suspect that is the case. But as soon as it starts to turn, you start to think people are expecting it to happen or believing it should happen a little bit too much, then I think that's an unrealistic expectation, don't you? I think realistically, stay in the division. And I think they've massively not overperformed. I think they've exceeded my expectations is what I'm trying to say, ultimately. And I'm delighted for them and delighted for the fans such as yourselves that they have done so, because looking at that squad without Roberto coming into this season, I had genuine fears that they would go straight back down again. And I think they've absolutely proved that that's not going to happen, which is brilliant. But that needs to be the level, I think, doesn't it? How good is this that we're almost certainly going to stay in this division? You know what? If by any remote chance we did make the playoffs, that would be incredible. But let's be honest, we're not going to dream about that until week 41.
It sounds like you could fit in right at home here on the Gary Castle, Liam.
I don't know where I stand. I think the position on the table says it all because they can play really good football, and they can play like heartless without any emotion.
I never see that from them. I haven't watched every Malaga game, I have to say. But one thing I will always say about them, the games I have seen, Alex and I have talked about this before, and he said he sometimes thinks they're not great to watch. But I said to him on numerous occasions, yeah, they might be great to watch, but you never, ever get any of them putting in less than, 125%. And that is how they are effective, because they buy into that collective ethic. And although it's not great to watch as a neutral, as a fan of that club, I love that. I love to see that. I don't want anything more from my team than that. And that, I suppose, is where sometimes Real Zaragoza fans might have a case, in the sense that you do get the feeling sometimes that they aren't completely as in love with the club as the fans are. I don't get that sense from Malaga. And this isn't a group. I mean, of course, there's some homegrowns in there, but this isn't a group of players that have all been at Malaga all their careers. These are guys that have come in. Look at Alfonso Herrera, for instance. A guy who's never really shone anyway. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. We are not worthy of Alfonso Herrera. And he's really happy there. And Manu Molina, who I really like, as you know, but he has dotted about a bit. And he's playing brilliantly. And there's got to be something in that. They can't all just come and quite like the weather and they think it's quite a nice city to live. It's because of the atmosphere that Pellicer has created, where everyone wants to go out. And the fans have obviously got a big part to play in that. They've gone out every game for me and really, really put in a shift. And I can forgive a lot if it's my team, especially. And even if I don't necessarily enjoy watching that all the time, I can still admire it and respect it and think, what, that's great. And, that's really what I want to see from a team.
That's a lovely sort of positive way for you to wrap up your views of Malaga. You're more than welcome to stay, Liam, but I know before we press record, you said you needed to go after half hour, so feel free to hang around if you want to. But before you go...
we might have a good news for you.
Yeah, because today, Alfonso Herrera was not trained with a virus. So
he'll be fine by Sunday. He'll be fine by Sunday.
He is. He's El Santo, as the local press have started calling him now. So I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. San Alfonso is about right. Yeah. No, he's tremendous. Yeah. I mean, that would be a huge boost for us, but I can't see it happening. It's relatively early in the week, isn't it? I'm sure he'll be fine. And I suspect even if he plays with a virus, he'd probably still be more effective than a good few keepers in our division. So
can I ask you, Liam, is he the best goalkeeper of Segunda?
It's a very good question. It's a very, very good league in terms of keepers. I really like Pablo Cognac. I mean, and also as well, it's not necessarily, the keepers at the top teams for me that really stand out. I mean, Dani Jimenez at Huesca is a fantastic keeper. I also think, as I say, Pablo Cognac at Cartagena, who are almost certainly going down. He's only on loan there from Levante. Even the keeper that's at, Levante, the experienced keeper, Andres Fernandez. It's very hard to choose, but some of the saves, I mean, when we don't do save of the week every week on our show, but because we've sometimes got too much material, but when we do save of the week, Herrera regularly crops up, and he's made some saves this season where you just go, how on earth did he keep that one out? So yeah, he's got to be right up there with the very best in the division for me, I think.
Okay. Right. I'll say thank you, Liam, if you're going to leave us, or are you going to stay?
I probably should go. It's been an absolute pleasure there, as always. I really love talking to you guys. And, it's a shame that I only get to do it twice, and I'm invariably a bit negative about my team. But you've got to be realistic as well, haven't you? And as I say, there are some teams I really don't like losing against in this division. I don't like losing against anybody, obviously, but there's some teams when it hurts less, if you know what I mean. And Malaga would certainly be one of those. So good luck this Sunday. I hope we beat you. But if we don't, it won't be the end of the world.
Well, we'll see you on Sunday anyway.
Yeah, we have to drink a beer on Sunday. So
sounds good. Look forward to it.
Right. Thank you, Liam. And thank you for your contributions this season twice, and giving us a question in the New Year's quiz as well. So your third appearance on the Geary Cast. And we will leave you go
guys. Take care.
Right, go off and pack your bag. Right. Thank you, Liam. Chris, we shall move on to just a little bit of Malaga, because we have talked quite a lot about Malaga already as well. I was going to quickly ask you your views on the Mirandés game, just because we did the live stream and we did the live pod after the live stream. I think we've sort of touched upon it. Is there anything you want to add about the Mirandés game?
I don't think we were great. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, no, I think that's...
Also, because Mirandés is also a very strong side, so I don't know.
Well, we'll talk about the main controversy that happened that night. We did, obviously, to be honest with you, on the live stream, Chris, and in the review after, that was our line. A bit like Liam said then, we sort of dug in a bit, but we did not play good football, and I don't think we got the team right. But controversially, in the review show, Nick Bell gave Alfonso Herrera the chumbo, which did not go down well. Which
I don't know. They scored from a penalty, didn't they?
Yeah, he gave the penalty away, to be fair, but
it was a penalty.
A good pass, to be fair, and
a crazy pass.
Yeah,
a very good pass. I don't know.
I think that's what's caused the virus. I think Alfonso Herrera was found out and fainted.
I don't know. if I'm honest, I don't think Alfonso Herrero played a very bad match.
No, he wasn't great either. But
I mean, that cross was amazing. I think that he had not many options there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He took one for the team. But Chumbo, I don't see him as a Chumbo, though.
Okay.
I think Sangali. I would say Sangali probably.
He was the main topic of conversation before we pressed record. And yeah, we didn't talk too much about him after, but we sort of dismissed him as like he didn't do anything. I
think you should be able to expect something more of a
me too.
of a player like Sangali. He's a very well experienced player. I think we should. I don't know. He's not important the whole season. Didn't play much. When he plays, well, he got the chance last Monday, and then he didn't really succeed or went for his chance. I think
we're going to talk about the starting 11 for this Sunday in a second, and I think it's fair to say Sangali will not feature in that, and he's
a very experienced player, and you see that the things I have seen of Sangali.
Well, this is it though, Chris. This is what I said on the podcast on Monday, and I think I've said it before. For some reason, I really like him, and I think he's good. But I don't know why that is or what evidence I have of that. I can't really remember thinking, oh, wow, he was amazing. But for some reason, I think I have him. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a psychological thing. I think it might be his name. He's got quite a cool name, and he looks quite cool.
That's an awesome name. And he looks very nice.
He is. Yeah, he's a good-looking man. I met him in Ceuta. I can confirm. Good-looking man. Anyway, just there you go. There's a little plug for the review pod there. It's about half an hour. We recorded it straight after the game on Monday night after the live stream, so it's a little bit different to the usual pod. But Luke listened, said it sounded all right. I was a bit worried because I'd polished off a bottle of wine by the time we pressed record on that, but I think I was okay. Let's go to this Sunday then, because we are doing the preview show. We've touched upon the Alfonso Herrero, slight concern, but I think like Liam said, we hope he'll be okay. We're recording this Thursday night, so we've got a couple of days for him to recover.
And if not, we have a very good Carlos Lopez, who is a wonderful young talent. So
what they call him, Mini Casillas, although he's very, very tall.
Mini Casillas. Yeah, that's a good name.
Yeah, no, I've seen them call him. I've met him too. At Baracaldo when he saved lots of penalties, or saved a penalty. The only other bit of injury news, obviously, we talked about earlier in the week, Kevin being injured. He is back in training now, and if I had to guess, I think he'll be in the squad Sunday night. He might start. I don't know what any news on Kevin. Do you know?
Depends.
Yeah, there you go. Depends.
No, he has been a few weeks out, so
I think you'll be on the bench, and
he will on the bench, and maybe he will get some minutes. I think, but I don't think he will start.
No, I agree as well. Haitam's again. It's apparently full trainings. We don't know what the situation with him is.
That could be an interesting start.
He could pop up at any moment, like Ramon did, I feel, and. Again, a player I'd sort of forgotten about after his amazing start, but Juanpe still on the injury, in the what's the word, in the gym coming back from injury. Sort of forgotten about him, but yeah, it's not really happened for him after his amazing start to the season in that one game. So let's go to the starting 11. I've put a few talking points here, but they're the same ones as usual, really. Carlos Puga or Joaquin, we've pretty much bounced back and forth, both of them. I think on this podcast, the general thing has been we're more Puga fans these days. Are we sticking with that, Chris?
I think they are both different players. I think Puga quite similar, but I think Puga is better attacking, and I think Joking is better, a bit better defensively.
I'd agree with that. I think but again, like I don't think Puga's a bad defender or Joaquin's bad going forward. But yeah, I think the thing for Puga for me that this season has made him. I still prefer Joaquin. I've got to bit of a soft spot for him from the Baracaldo trip. But as a player, I think Puga's got a better cross on him. I think he's got a good cross on him, and we don't score many goals, and we need to find, and we're not very good at playing that killer pass. I think Carlos Puga is one of the ones that can do it. You've met him tonight, Chris. I hope it hasn't swayed your opinion, but I give my Biznaga in the week on Monday to Dione because I thought he worked really hard and didn't really get much, but worked really good. Does he start again ahead of Rocco?
After lost, and here's the thing, we never know, and I think that's also the problem with our strikers. If you change your striker every week, none of your strikers will get the confidence what they need to score goals.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the mistakes at Malaga. That this week we play with Rocco, other week we play with Dione.
Dione's had a bit of a run recently, I feel, but and he's, to be fair, he's been pretty good actually. Not spectacular, but a solid 7.
But they're both not spectacular, and I think if it would be interesting if we would sign a striker this transfer window, which is who scores goals. Let's put it that way. How far we could get with this team, that would be very interesting.
Well, here's the next option, Chris, because again, it's pretty much been a topic of conversation on this podcast for months now. And the Chupete option, who of course scored in the last home game. This Sunday, Atletico Malagueño play away at Arenas Armilla, which I believe is near Granada. They play at 12 p.m. So obviously by the time they get back to Malaga, 4 p.m. Could Chupete do 2 games in a day, or do you think he's going to be in the senior team, or just Atletico Malagueño? What do you think is going to happen with Chupete this weekend? Because to be honest with you,
I think we have to do very tranquilo with Chupete.
Yeah, of course, tranquilo.
Yeah, but tranquilo is not like playing at 12 o'clock and then rush him to Malaga to be with the first squad.
Yeah, in a limo.
And Funes, his coach said it this week.
Yeah, I saw that.
We don't have to put his progress in danger. Something like it. Absolutely. So, and I think he's right.
Yeah, when I think this weekend, like obviously the Depor game, it did make sense. The schedule did sort of work, and he could do both. And we didn't, he didn't play 2 full sets of 90 minutes. He only played 20 minutes or 50 minutes against Depor. But yeah, this one does feel a bit. Yeah, let's not be silly with this one. But unless
we all seem to forget the importance of Atletico Malagueño getting promoted.
No, I haven't. I think I said in our WhatsApp group, I thought you spoke really well about that the other day.
But a lot of people seem to forget. A lot of Malaga fans seem to forget that it's really important. I think it's even more important to get Atletico Malagueño promoted than the first team promoted.
There's your headline. Guys. That's a big shout.
Yes, but let's be honest. We don't have our club is not ready to play Primera División.
I'd agree with that. But
it would be getting promoted to get relegated the season after. That's not worth it for me.
The money would be a big thing for us, but no, I don't think I could go that far. But I do get the point you're making. But yeah. We'll see what happens with Chupete. I know I want to see the senior boys win games. So I'd rather him be in the senior squad at the moment, to be honest with you, and balance it out a bit more.
I think what I want is the best for Chupete.
Absolutely, exactly.
And I think
that is the best for him at the moment.
It would be a shame to throw away his talent.
But then I think we're not using his talent is my thing. If
we don't use his talent, that must be for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. I get that as well. But I think, a game at home against a team which is low on confidence, that let's just get the 3 points. And like Liam's just said,
okay, but like
50. But
bringing
score more goals than Rocco and Dione at the moment.
No, but we have this striker problem the whole season.
Absolutely. And
Let's say Malaga is not signing any strikers by the end of the transfer window, but instead they bring Chupete to the first team.
Mm-hmm.
That's a massive pressure you put on that kid. And what we have seen with Lorenz Zúñiga, for example.
Yeah, but they're different. I don't know, but
Lorenz Zúñiga at Atlético Malagueño also scored 20, 30 goals per season.
Yeah, but like I don't know, but there's different characters, different. Roberto was similar age to Chupete, and we chucked him in. There you go. You're the number 9. We need to get promoted. Okay,
and that didn't work, and that didn't work. And then we all thought,
promoted.
No.
Yeah, well, last season he was 21, 22.
Last season, but we sent him off to Barcelona B.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we said, but then he had already some experience with Barcelona and with Malaga. So for him, I don't think Roberto would be the same player if we kept him, if he didn't go to Barcelona.
Possibly. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I don't know. I just think he seems up for it. I don't know the young lad Chupete, but just I know he seems up for it. Again, I'm not totally. If he's in the starting 11 for Atletico Malagueño on the weekend, I'm not going to be like, what's he doing? Why is he playing there? I get it, but for me, I'd rather see him not even starting in around the first team now. I think.
Yeah, if he gets his training moments with the team, I think you have to bring him easily, give him some time training with the team, and then maybe next season be on the bench.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah, we could. I think
that's how it usually goes. You be on the bench for 10, 15 weeks, and then you finally make your debut.
And he scored on it.
Yeah, but he hasn't been on the bench for 15 matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's been training with them in and out. But I think, to be honest with you, if we cut all the Chupete stuff up from the recent podcast episodes, we probably got about a 3-hour special. We need to do a full-on Chupete episode. That would put pressure on him. But yeah, we could go around in circles for him here. We don't know. Usually I would say, what do you think is going to happen? I still feel like he is going to play for Atletico Malagueño this weekend. That's my feeling, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So we'll see.
I think if we have Dione, we have Rocco. If we can get another striker, and we need another striker, I think we're fine. Yeah,
Sergio Castell's him leaving the club's gone a bit quiet as well, hasn't it? Well, we've
played around him for the past, and we liked him. We saw things in him.
Yeah, I did. If he left, I wouldn't lose too much sleep over it. But yeah, I did quite. But anyway, that is our preview of the Zaragoza game. We didn't really give a proper plug to it, but in case you didn't pick up on it, Liam Bambridge is one of the hosts of the Spanish Segunda Show, so make sure to go check them out. Him and Alex do excellent stuff, and if you happen to find yourself in the Antequera, Cordoba, Malaga, Granada region this weekend, try and keep an eye out for the lads and
you want to take a picture with them. Go ahead. They're very kind and open to fans to take pictures with them.
Or the second option is skip the Granada part and come and join us in Malaga in the afternoon before going up to La Rosaleda. So thank you again to Liam. Great as always. And thank you, Chris Marquez.
Thank you, Matt Harrison. We see each other this weekend.
We will see each other this weekend with our esteemed guests in the city. But yes, and thank you guys for listening as always. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on your podcast app, follow us on all the social networks, etc. Just type in GearyCast where you can and engage. And thank you. So we'll see you soon. Adios and vamos Malaga.